markets. Let me talk for a moment just briefly about this dysfunction that exists, which is really interesting. So engineering organizations are comprised of people, and therefore they're like anybody else. They like, working on interesting projects and making a nice salary and having good employment and taking vacations and so on. In order for that to happen, they need to get their projects funded. So there's an inherent conflict of interest. They want to get their projects funded, and they really have little skin in the game with respect to meeting schedule, because everybody misses schedule. So they're motivated to basically accept unrealistic constraints on the project in terms of schedule constraints and resource availability constraints. Executive manager says, I'm only going to give you 22 people. Marketing says, this project has to be done by such and such time, and by the way, it has to contain all these features and functions. And engineering says, okay, we can do that, because they want to get the project funded. So you have point of dysfunction number one. The second component of that is that marketing is faced with a very, very challenging job, which is to figure out the features and functional requirements of products in markets that are very fluid and very dynamic. And they're very fluid and dynamic because of the intense competition in the industry. Things are changing all the time because companies are introducing different kinds of new products all the time. So a product, the iPhone, for example, which was introduced, within the last 45 days, quickly is going to become obsolete as Samsung comes out with theirs, and Nokia comes out with theirs, and Motorola comes out with theirs, and they're going to blow the iPhone out of the water. And the iPhone now, 3 months from now, they have to come out with their next version of it to keep pace. Right? So how does the marketing guy at the iPhone with Apple really know what's going to happen? He doesn't. So what does he do? He hedges his bet, and he says, I'm going to specify all kinds of features and functions that should go into this next version of the iPhone. And invariably, he overspecifies and overconstrains in terms of cycle time. And he says, you have to have all these other features in the next version of it, and it has to be done in 3 months. So he hasn't really figured out the market, though, yet very well. So he puts the burden on engineering. So he hedges his bet by overspecifying. So engineering then accepts the challenge, even though they know realistically they aren't going to meet it, okay? Engineering knows that they need more resources, but they're typically quite reluctant, if not afraid, to go to their managers, executive management, and say, we need not 22 people on this project, we need 42 people on this project, because the executive manager is going to say, no way. In addition, if they say they need 42 people, the executive manager will go to another design manager or project team and say, how many people do you guys need? And they'll say, oh, we only need 22. And so as a result, there is a concern and insecurity among project teams that someone else will get to work on the project. And so you have this sort of three-way dysfunction that operates in these organizations. Now, this is perhaps acceptable if you're dealing with 1 or 2 projects, but when you're dealing with entire portfolios of projects, of 5, 10, 15, 20 projects going on, and they're all interdependent and codependent for resources, then when one is late, that ripples into that affects the next one. It's a rippling effect from one project to the next, to the next, to the next. And we see this in our customers.
So really, the dynamics really overplay, and that's a very big issue, that you can change the dialogue based on third-party realistic data.
That's
right.
You
can have a different dialogue, and you well-staff the fewer projects, and don't staff too many, end up canceling them.
That's right. And there are two other things, maybe there's more, but 2 of them that come to mind. One is the term you use, which is fact-based. That's a very good term. Fact-based planning, fact-based something. That's a very powerful statement. And I just wish I would have thought of it.